Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick. 4-2-2000. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Good Tuesday morning, Bakersfield and surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube at the Early Bird Special. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for today.
We'll definitely do the recap of the game twos last night in the NBA playoffs.
I'm still standing by it. These are the two best series in the playoffs this year.
So far, so good.
So far.
And then we'll preview the three games today. And then we got some news for both Nikos.
Oh, God.
And then
Nico's brother, technically.
Nico's brother and the quarterback that played for UCLA before Nico. And then we'll welcome back 24KG at 8 o'clock to recap the Raw after WrestleMania, which did not disappoint.
We are living in the wildest time for sport, my friend. It really is. Wrestling is at its peak. Basketball is at its peak. Hockey is off and running. We need to catch up on that as well.
Ovi with a goal
absolutely
in overtime.
Again. We got two stories two returning stories. I guess there's been a couple injuries that have actually come out years later, and they've finally come back to the ice, so that's really cool to see. Maybe we can get to those today too.
And then we'll preview Thursday's beginning of the NFL draft. You can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000. We are streaming on the Early Bird Special YouTube channel as well as ESPNBakersfield.com.
And it is Trivia Tuesday as
well. And we have an easy one for you. If you've been paying attention, today is a big day for somebody, a local business. We'll talk about that much more.
And just know, if you do get the trivia, you do get something. This isn't nothing.
You'll get something.
You'll get something. And
we'll
honestly, I'm sitting here thinking, if you are the lucky winner this week and you get the trivia, you get first dibs on the next tickets we give away. How about that?
There you
go. Get first dibs on the next pair of tickets that you want that we give away, whether they be movie tickets, event tickets. We will hook you up the very first day, no matter what. If you want your tickets, obviously you deserve them. So you won at some point, because what are we, 0-4 now in trivia weeks?
We got somebody last week.
You know what? You're right.
They got the mac and cheese tickets.
1-3. You're right. We got some mac and cheese tickets given away last week. But let's jump into the NBA, my friend, because good Lord, were these two games yesterday really, really entertaining. Starting with the Knicks and the Pistons, where the Pistons, as we said yesterday, came back, even the series at 1, winning the game 194. I didn't realize this, but the Pistons this year, 14-0 when they are able to hold their opposing team to under 100 points.
Really?
Yes. That is a great
They almost
look.
choked, too.
They did.
They almost choked.
Let's not forget, much like the Thunder and the Rockets. Actually, I shouldn't put the Thunder in this conversation. Much like the Rockets, young team, first time in the playoffs together. And honestly, Cade Cunningham still showing his chops and just absolutely lighting everybody up. 33 points, man. 11 for 21 and 12 rebounds from the point guard. That's impressive. That's impressive no matter who you're playing.
I know Brunson came out and was complaining about Cunningham getting all the calls, but they got cold. Detroit was cold in that second half.
They were.
And they gave the Knicks a chance. They got the 24-0 run on the game 1, and I thought we were having deja vu until they choked in the second half. That was a hell of a game. Brunson finished out with 37 points and 7 assists, but they just couldn't get to the foul line. And that was a big change in the game, because I believe at one point Detroit had 24 free throws to their 4.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, again, it all came down to just getting to the line, especially in the first half. But like you said, the cold shooting in the second half, Dennis Schroeder had to bail out the Pistons at the very end with a 3 to give them that real last push before the end of the game. But snaps a 15-game postseason losing streak for the Pistons. They've been swept in the last 3 years that they had been in the playoffs, which was 2009, 2016, and 2019. This is just a good look for the Pistons altogether. You finally break out of that 15-game slump. You're moving forward into something. And honestly, I still stand by that this could be the upset of the first round. outside of the Warriors and the Rockets. But
I'm
that
still
is
rooting on
only
Tibbs and the Knicks, but they're going to have to find some defense.
right. And that's going to be the big thing is can you solidify or consistently solidify a defensive scheme
And
to
they're getting
stop them?
killed. They're getting killed on the boards, and
Yeah.
that's been their issue. And
Well, I was kind of noticing this too while watching the game. Duren is a fantastic big man for the Pistons, but he is bullying Cat.
yes,
Cat only had 10 points in this game, but when you watch this game yesterday, there were multiple instances where Cat tried to drive on Duren and was stopped as if it was a brick wall. So I think that he's just playing him very tough, very well. And it's, again, highlighting one of the biggest criticisms against Karl Anthony Towns, which is his inability to be a rough, tough, grindy big man. He's more of the European style. He's not, I don't want to call him soft because that's not the right word, but it's more finesse-esque play. He likes to shoot more than he does like to drive, but he still will bully you if you allow him to because he has the body to do so. But when you go up against a guy like Duren, who is just, like I said, a stout wall that won't let you through, it's going to be really, really difficult for him to really do anything that he likes to do.
well, they needed him, and he didn't show up in that game. Definitely, I believe at one point he only had 1 point in the second half,
Something
and
like that.
it was horrible. And yes, I totally agree because he was getting bullied
Mhm.
all game.
But
And
that's what we expected from the Pistons, or at least from me. I expected the Pistons to come out that way because that's the way they like to play. And obviously, being a Cavaliers fan, I know how JB Bickerstaff runs his team, and I know JB does not slouch on defense. That's his number one thing. If you're playing on JB Bickerstaff's team, you're gonna be good at defense.
it's definitely one of my favorite series in the first round, and it
Yes.
sets it up because the game two, the doubleheader with the Clippers and Nuggets, that was a hell of a game as well. Cleveland or not Cleveland, the Clippers pulled out the 105-102 win.
Right.
Cowie Leonard was on fire, finished with 39 points. I didn't catch most of that game. I was going back with Raw.
I
in
got
the
to watch
Clippers
both
game.
at the same time, but I have a method.
But I tuned it in the fourth quarter when it mattered.
Yeah.
And I think that this one probably goes 7 games if we're lucky.
I think so too.
But the defense that Lou had drawn up against Joker, man, he looked pissed.
I mean, again, he's frustrated. Joker had 7 turnovers yesterday. And actually, we should point out as well, Jalen Brunson had 6. That's how most of these games are going to be won in the playoffs is you have to cause mistakes. You have to create turnovers. And I think that's why teams like the Golden State Warriors are really poised to make a deep run because that's what they do best. And I agree with you. Ty Lue, who is another great coach and has been in the league, won championships, he has just done a great job at figuring out how to at least not stop Joker, but slow him down. Because again, Joker had a triple-double yesterday. You can't stop him from playing his game. All you can do is really try to stop everybody else around him, which they did a pretty good job of. And honestly, Kawhi Leonard couldn't miss.
Yeah, and forcing those turnovers and getting in his head.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll get his triple-double, but when it counted, it's why they lost. That turnover with I think 30-something seconds left is what, closed out the game. And with Leonard with that still, but going back to Lou, this is what Lou had to say after they tied up the series.
Proud of our team. Just, get down big to come back and fight. A couple calls didn't go our way, but we stayed with it. We stayed poised. And for me, it was just the mentality. Like I said at halftime, what got us back in the game was the grit and the grind. It wasn't making shots. It wasn't just get your ass back in transition, guard the basketball, be physical, and everything else is going to take care of itself. And so, like I said, Norm hit some big shots down the stretch. KD with a big offensive rebound. But like I said, just a total team effort, and that's who we got to be every night.
Ty also came out after game 1 and said that the lineup wouldn't change necessarily before game 2, but going into game 3, he will be making some adjustments just in case. I think he will still make those adjustments just because of how close this game ended up being. The final score, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have
105-102.
It was just as close as the first game. And like you said, it came down to the final possession again, which was a really, really ugly shot by most of the Denver Nuggets team who got the ball during that point. You need to get the ball to Jamal Murray. That's the long and short of it if you're the Denver Nuggets. Stop allowing anybody else to take these clutch shots except for Jamal Murray. Jamal is your guy in these final seconds. We've said it on this show a couple times now. He is notoriously the most clutch player on this team, and Jokic just draws the most attention. So have Jokic be the bait, draw something up for Jamal, and get him that open shot that you know he can make, and go into overtime and potentially win a second overtime game against the Clippers. That's what you should have done. Didn't work out that way, unfortunately, and the Nuggets end up losing, and the series goes 1-1, now headed back to LA. And honestly, if you have Kawhi Leonard, who's playing out of his mind right now, and James Harden is showing up in the way James Harden needs to, I think this Clipper team has a very good chance at taking this series. I agree with you. I think it goes 7, but at this point right now, it just doesn't look good for Denver. I still stand by what I said yesterday, that Denver, to me, is the team that is in the most danger right now.
Jamal Murray added that 23 points with Porter's 13, but the whole thing about the game was the turnovers. They had no answer for Leonard. But the 20 turnovers, which led to 21 points for the Clippers, it's just 3 points.
And 20 turnovers for the Clippers in game 1 as well was what did them in. Again, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, it's all going to come down to how many turnovers and mistakes you can make the other team do, especially here in the first round. And teams like the Clippers and the Warriors and stuff like that, they thrive on that kind of play. So it's really going to be tough for teams like Denver to get out of the first round. But we are hopeful at least. Joker got his 19th career triple-double in the postseason, 3rd all-time behind Magic and LeBron. He still has 9, or he's 9 behind LeBron, who has 28. Magic had 30. And game 3 of this series will be on Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. And I'm pretty sure you could probably find that right here. No, we'll be covering the NFL draft that day. So you will not be able to hear it here on ESPN Bakersfield, unfortunately. But Sparky, let's take a quick break, my friend, and pay some bills. I know you're dealing with something over there, but we have some other games.
It was a setup for our segment too, because
okay, cool.
A listener said it's not Denver that's in trouble, it's the Lakers, which goes right into our next segment, because we're going to preview the 3 games coming up today right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
You Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m., 101.1 FM, and streaming at espnbakersfield.com.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special. The only morning radio show that'll play music that'll actually wake you up too.
I'm trying.
Just saying.
I get a lot of crap from my family because
I'm just saying.
when we go on weekend drives at 6 or 7 in the morning, I pump up metal.
Heck
wake up.
yes.
I'm like, I don't know how you can listen to that this early in the morning.
I'm
trying to wake up.
First and foremost, every hour of the day is good to listen to metal music. There is never a bad time to listen to metal. Ever at all. I'm sorry. I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with that, but it's true. Let's go into the games of tonight, though, my friend. Obviously, the first game will be the Pacers against the Bucks. Hopefully, we will see Damian Lillard back for the Bucks, in which they desperately need him, right? I mean, that's where I stand on this series is if the Bucks can get Damian back fully healthy, the way we know Damian to play, which means 20 to 30 points, Pacers might be in trouble.
They need him.
They desperately
tonight
need him.
Because if they go down 0-2, I don't know how much Lillard and Giannis magic will be able to come back from 2, especially with a high scoring team like the Pacers. So I'm hoping. I know ESPN reported this morning that they have moved it up to questionable for tonight. So we'll keep you posted. Follow us on Instagram, the Early Bird Special Official. As soon as they break the news for that, we will let you know.
The minute it happens, we try to get it out there. But I do think that this is going to be an interesting game, especially if they get Damian back, because I don't know how much you watched the first game, my friend, but the Pacers, although did win that game pretty handily, there was a little bit of John between Tyrese Halliburton and Damian Lillard there. And if there's one thing you do not do, it is irritate Dame time, because when he comes back, he's going to eat you alive. And I love Tyrese. I really do. He's a fantastic individual, fantastic athlete, but it's kind of like Michael. Don't jaw at him. What are you doing? Like, let him sit in the corner and be angry, not angry at you. That's not what you want when he's coming off of an injury like he has.
Give him a reason.
Exactly. Give him a reason. Because he's not injured. He's dealing with blood clot issues, which is still very dangerous, but that's why he's not playing at the moment. Is just blood clot issues, which means this is incredibly frustrating, most likely, for Dame to have to sit on the bench and watch all of this stuff happen at the end of the year. He wants to be on the court. So if you're going to anger him even further, that's only going to make it worse on you later in the series, especially since you're going to be the one having to actually guard him. But overall, the Pacers have been incredibly hot, so I can't necessarily say that they are in trouble to lose this game unless Damian plays. But what do you think is going to happen out of this, my friend?
I'm just really sitting on the edge of my seat waiting to see if Lillard's playing. Because, I mean, Giannis is still an MVP caliber player. You know, I think he can still push the game, but I think Lillard being in that getting some minutes, even if it's, limited time, I think he's coming out pissed. So I'm really hoping that he comes out to play, because that's a game to watch if he's playing. And if Milwaukee can squeeze it by, that's even better for Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee desperately also needs Kyle Kuzma to step up as well. No points in game 1, absolutely disappeared. Doc Rivers came to his defense. I didn't pull the audio. I didn't think it was necessary. It's pretty generic of what he believes in this kid. Kyle is a very good basketball player. I think Kyle Kuzma gets a lot of grief for the movement around the league since his tenure with the Lakers. When he was with the Lakers, he was a solid player, not a star, but he could at least put some stuff up for you. They desperately need him, though, to set up as that number 3 and to be that guy that the Bucks can rely on to at least get 10 to 15 points to even out some of the scoring of the rest of the Pacers starting 5, which all notoriously get into double figures almost every game. And then moving on to the second game, which I'm not sure if anybody's actually excited for this.
Just all the jaw talk we've talked about over the last couple of weeks since the show moved over to ESPN. And Ja being in the news, and I'm a big fan of Pippen. I still don't think they can pull the series, but I just hope they don't get swept.
No, I think
but it looks like they're going to get swept.
The growing sentiment around ESPN, including from all the NBA, all inside the NBA guys, Chuck, Kenny, Shaq, all said it yesterday. they're getting swept.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It is ugly. This is not a good look for the Grizzlies at all. The Thunder and Grizzlies game 2 will be your second game of the night. Obviously, we never actually said it out loud, but
but you can hear it right here on ESPN
Yes,
radio starting
Yes,
at 4 p.m.
And again, it's playoff basketball, so anything can happen. But Ja Morant, obviously, you can't have the game you had. You only had, 19 points in game 1.
He's going to need 50.
Well, with the rest of your team not producing, I mean, and let's get into this soundbite because I heard this yesterday, and I really want to riff off of this because there's a lot of hate going towards Jaren Jackson Jr. right now. I don't think it's warranted, to be honest with you. But let's hear what Kendrick Perkins had to say about him potentially being an overhyped player.
I believe Ja Morant, but I don't believe Jaren Jackson Jr. Let's have an uncomfortable conversation real quick.
Oh, goodness.
He is the most overhyped player in this league. He's not even a top 10 big in my eyes. And here's why I'm going at him. Forget the fact that you fired your coach 5 games, 8 games left in the season, and you need him to step up. Forget the fact that Ja Morant probably shouldn't be playing because he's taking shots every damn day to stay on the floor because we know how severe that ankle sprain is. Forget the fact that he is a former defensive player of the year. Forget the fact that he made an all-star team this year. No way in hell that Jaren Jackson Jr. should ever leave a game without having double-figure rebounds and being impactful on the defensive side of things. You can't have them switching Alex Caruso on you and you're settling for threes and you can't get 2 feet in the paint and punish them on these mismatches. When I think about him, yes, it is 10 bigs that I would take over him right now.
I don't like Kendrick.
I don't either. Kendrick is a former Cavalier, and I still don't like him. A longtime Celtic center and now ESPN panelist and just one of their talking heads for the NBA. And he makes a lot of really good points most of the time. This one, I do not agree with whatsoever. Jaren is not overrated at all. And for him to sit there and say, take away all of his accolades and what do you have? First off, again, you just went down his tenure. All-star. Defensive player of the year, pretty much a candidate almost every year, by the way. He's been in the league, including his rookie year. He has been a stud for the Memphis Grizzlies since he got on the team. He has one bad game, and now we're going to say he's the overhyped big man of the league, really? And Kendrick Perkins, really? You're going to be the one to sit here and say someone's overhyped?
One of the most overhyped players.
You should never have been a starter, in my opinion.
Yes.
You were getting bullied by almost everybody.
And you can talk about big shooting threes.
No kidding. Like, look, man, I get he's intelligent, and I know he's a great panelist, and that had nothing to do with his play. I know he's a player in the NBA. But Kendrick, let's not be the one to sit there and call people overhyped, okay? The only reason you're relevant is because you played with KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. Outside of that, you didn't do jack diddly with your career. When you were in Cleveland, you never even saw the court, homie.
So dumb.
Let's not even go there. But where I do agree with his point, and which is my point in terms of what they need to do to turn the series around, Jaren does need to be a bigger impact on the court. He does need to be that defensive player that everybody knows him to be. And like Kendrick said, you can't be letting the point guard Alex Caruso switch to you and then you just go with 3-pointers because you feel like it.
Yeah, that's when you have to take advantage.
You got a guy that's a foot shorter than you guarding you. Bully him, please. I know we don't do that in the league very much anymore, but if you got a guy that's a foot shorter than you that has no business guarding you underneath in the paint, dunk it on his head so they stop that because this is ridiculous. But outside of that, him being an overhyped player, that is ridiculous.
But it's easy to pick on Memphis right now.
It is. It's very easy. I mean, we've been picking on him for the last 2 weeks. But again, Jaren has never been the problem in Memphis.
No.
And honestly, Ja himself isn't necessarily a problem in Memphis. His play has never been a problem. His attitude has gotten him into trouble, but he himself is not a problem for Memphis. Memphis's problem is they can't put it together.
Yes, the Memphis problem is upstairs.
Yes.
And in the coaching room.
Absolutely. 100%. So that's where they really need to figure it all out, is find a coach that can actually haul these guys in, put them in line and say, let's go win a championship. Because again, as we said, at one point in the year, Memphis was the number 2 team in the West before their big collapse. Now they're going to get swept by the number 1 seed, but
I hope not.
They could pull off
it though.
They could pull off a win tonight. I highly doubt it though. But if they were going to pull off a win in this series, it would be tonight.
Well, we were talking about in the last segment that Denver looks like a team that's in trouble. and to go over to another team out in the West that looks like they're in trouble, especially if they lose game 2 tonight, is the Lakers. With the with the Lakers, we talked about it. What was it, Monday after the weekend game? When you have stars like Luka and LeBron, you need that extra third guy to help out, and they didn't have that over the weekend, and that's what we're going to see tonight. If who's going to step up? Is it I always space his name, but
Luka Doncic? No,
the third guy we were talking. Oh, Reeves.
Yeah, Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves has got to step up in this game. If they go down 2 games, I think the Lakers are in trouble.
Oh, very much so. And that's why I say I know a lot of people have been calling and texting in. We appreciate that, by the way. We will get to your text messages here in a minute. But I know a lot of people have growing concerns for the Lakers. I get it. But this is why I feel like Denver's in bigger trouble, because we've seen back-to-back games now where Denver had to actually compete and play perfect basketball in order to win. The Lakers, if they go into this game, and like JJ Redick said after game 1, are not physically prepared for the Timberwolves, I think you're in trouble. And I think I have to agree with Sparky. I think you'd be in very big trouble. But I mean, don't listen to me. Listen to Jason Gimp on the Colin Cowherd show, or Colin Cowherd podcast. I apologize. And he pretty much maps it out perfectly in what I believe will happen if the Lakers can't keep up physically with the Timberwolves tonight.
I also think there's a version of this, Colin, where the Lakers bring a more intense effort and it's not enough. And so that's what I'm really curious about with game 2. I feel relatively certain that they're going to come out on Tuesday ready to fight, and they're going to be ready. And I'll have my eyes on that first quarter, because if the Lakers come out and they control things and it's like, here we go, this is our team, this is what we look like when we're engaged and we're better than these guys and we can show it, I'll feel better about kind of chalking up what happened Saturday night as a lack of intensity, a lack of being ready. But if it's halftime, Colin, and Minnesota's up by like 3 and LeBron and Austin are still struggling, that's where I'm going to be sitting there like the Lakers are in a world of trouble, because this is, as we saw in the Denver series last year, the Minnesota physicality never lets up. It just keeps coming until the end of game 7. And you have to find a way to survive it.
I mean, he said it perfectly. It really is going to come down to what Laker team are you going to see, not just in this game, but in the first quarter. Are they going to come out and do essentially, like I said, with the Memphis Grizzlies? Game 2 in series 1 is always that game you want to come out and just rebound, essentially. Not literally rebound the ball, but rebound from game 1. If you had an ugly game 1, much like the Memphis Grizzlies, game 2 is your opportunity to come back and pop them in the mouth and show, okay, we lost the fight in game 1, but we're here for the war in game 2.
Yeah, and I think we get the attitude adjustment from LeBron. I think he comes out upset. I think he comes out and trying to take over the first half, and then we'll see if the rest of the team follows, because that's what they're going to need to get that win. And Freddie Coleman kind of said the same thing, but let's hear from him.
When you have to be accountable for Luka's poor defensive effort, good luck to you if you are the Los Angeles Lakers. That's why I think game 2 is a must win, because that's going to be a nervous building when they go into it based on what they saw on Saturday night. Now, will the Lakers win game 2? It could be a different conversation. Absolutely. But let them go out there and play like that again, or even anywhere near, because I'm not expecting Minnesota to make 21 threes. Those things don't happen in back-to-back playoff games, but it won't have to if that effort's going to be there.
I wouldn't expect them to hit 21 threes. Not when Anthony Edwards led the whole league in threes this year and 3-point percentage.
I think you're just going to see a whole different mentality from LeBron and Luka. And it just goes back to what we've been saying. It's more than just having 1 or 2 stars. Right. It's a full team. There's 5 guys on the court. So we're going to see which Lakers team shows up.
Yep.
Because if we come in tomorrow morning and we're talking about the Lakers being down 2 games, that's a wrap.
Oh, yeah, it's over. And you need Rui Hachimura to step up, especially you need Jackson Hayes to step up defensively. And like we've already said, Austin Reeves need to be that third option. You need a all-around build-up from your entire team in this game to save the series. Because again, you're at home. We're talking about this as if the Minnesota Timberwolves are at home. No, they're away right now, and
they lost the home court advantage.
Absolutely.
Already.
So it is now time for you, much like I said with the Memphis Grizzlies, you have to come out and pop them in the mouth when they're not expecting it. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Well, let's wrap up this segment, pay our bills, and then Nico is back in front of a mic, and this time we can actually get the audio.
Nico Harrison. Let's
because
we have
be
two
talking
Nikos
Nico 1,
Nico
Nico 2. We should just call it Nico Tuesdays.
Jeez.
Because this guy and the new UCLA quarterback, they're always in the headlines.
It's just it's easy to talk about when you make yourself the story. I'm just going to say it that way.
Keep it right here. ESPN 101.1 FM, 1230 AM.
Call or text in. AM 101.1 FM. Now, back to the Early Bird Special.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special.
And that Nico, or the Pat McAfee pin thing, where he throws it and catches it. He looks just like a dumbass every time he does it, but it is difficult to do.
It is so much fun. Sorry, for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, me and Sparky during the break were discussing things that happened last night, and Raw obviously came up, and our guy Pat McAfee on his own Pat McAfee show, he got choked out by one of the wrestlers. We'll get into that with our boy 24KG, but I am a big fan of Pat McAfee, and I just for funsies, he does this little pen flip thing he likes to do on WWE, which he throws his pencil in the air, grabs it, and does this little quick like cross symbol. I don't even know how to explain it, but we were doing that, and I absolutely butchered it, and he's been making fun of me ever since. So that's why it came up in conversation.
I've tried it when no one's looking.
I mean, again, I think everybody has. I mean, again, as much as everybody loves to hate on this guy and call him unprofessional and all that, he is the best, man.
Well,
Like,
he's
he
living
really
his best
is.
life for sure.
Everybody's jealous, and I understand. I'm jealous of Pat McAfee and his friends. I would love to be on that band of stooges. It's fantastic. Talking about stooges, though,
Yes.
I hate talking about this guy now, man.
Me too.
I really do. I hate bringing this guy up. Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. Your team is out of the playoffs. You lost. Why are you still talking to the media? Why?
I almost liked it better when he didn't allow
Why?
the public or the general.
Like, I know, like, at least he was smart enough the first time to say no recording so no one could hear his stupid answers. But
Why
this time,
why would he do it and then turn around 2 days later and
I don't know. I don't know.
do
I
it?
don't like. I echo the sentiment of Charles Barkley, which we'll get to here in a second too, because I agree with him 100%. I don't know why you're still talking to the media. I don't know why you're, dude. Do
I don't
you
even know why he
want
has
your
to-
job?
Exactly.
Do you want to get fired? Like, let's just start with clip number 1, my friend, because this is the reason why I'm sitting here saying this boy needs to be fired.
When you were kicking the idea of this trade around, and you had various scenarios planned in your head, did the anger and outrage from the fan base, has that exceeded what you were kind of planning for?
Yeah, good question. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, you know, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that. So it just continued to go on and on.
Hit it. No. Wrong one. Wrong
So
one.
dumb.
Thank you. Go ahead, Shorzy. Say it again.
So dumb.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Finally, it worked.
Yeah, no
We
kidding.
lined it up perfectly.
Nico, you're going to sit here and tell me that Luka Doncic, the biggest acquisition your franchise has had since Dirk Nowitzki, wasn't your fans weren't going to be mad that you traded him away? This man wants to be fired, Sparky. That is the only thing I can think of. This man does not want to be a general manager in basketball. You clearly don't know ball. Clearly. Like, I mean, we all knew that when you traded Luka away. That was never in question. But now because of your stupid statement again, this boy, fire him, please. Significant.
Well, this
just
is what he
fire
had to
him.
say about his job security.
Oh, God.
Luka comes back to town, the Lakers game's happening, and you're standing there and there's thousands of people chanting for you to be fired. That's an experience that none of us, no one's chanting for our, for why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick.
Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. The injuries? Because we're basing all of this on the injuries. Every bit of this was because of the injuries that happened to the Maverick. God, this man is so dumb. This has got to be the dumbest general manager in all of basketball. And Atlanta fired theirs yesterday.
I saw that. Quick hire too.
Oh my God. Well, all they did was give
Swap
the
him.
assistant a promotion,
But this
which
guy-
makes sense. But
Which scratches my head is how does this guy still have a job? And
Because,
why are
again-
they allowing him to go to the media and talk?
no, I stand by the statement that I know Adam Silver came out and said, no, all of that is fake and it's not true. I call shenanigans. I don't think the owners want to be in Dallas, and they think this is good. They think the fans they want the fans to give up on Dallas so they can move easier.
Shenanigans!
Absolutely, Kyle. Shenanigans. Shenanigans are being had. No, that's the only thing I can think of. Unless this man is fired literally in a week to a month by the draft, I don't get it. I really don't understand why this guy is here. Like, I get it. You were last year, they got to the finals, but it was because of the guy you literally traded away. And then you're going to sit there and say, I don't feel like I should be judged based on the poor situations and injuries that we have been in this year.
And I didn't know.
Shut your
Luka was such a good player.
my God, dude. Like,
Um,
pretentious high schooler. I'm standing by that. You are just the worst.
what did Sir Barkley have to say about this?
Let's go ahead and hear it.
Nico Harrison, I consider you a friend of mine. I wish you nothing but the best. I thought you did a good job last year with the Mavs, and obviously whatever happened this year didn't work out. Man, don't do no more press conferences. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. I really don't. Like, I got sympathy and love for you, but I have zero idea what you're trying to do. This war is over, brother. You got to taking the L. I hope you keep your job. I hope that team get healthy. But man, don't do any more interviews.
I don't hope he keeps his job. I hope this guy gets fired.
He shouldn't have his job now.
I'm not even a Dallas Mavericks fan. I have no skin in the game whatsoever, but this guy bugs me.
Yeah.
This guy genuinely bugs me. Like, and I'm with Chuck. What are you even doing with this press conference? What was this about?
The season's over.
Like, actually, you know what it is too, is I feel like a lot of these questions were left over from the press conference these guys didn't get to have like a week ago.
This is a post.
So all of these guys are saying, well, you didn't let us do this last week, so we're going to do it this week. Why do you think you need to keep your job? Did you really think the fans weren't going to be mad? This guy's an idiot.
Yes.
This guy's I can't say the words I actually want to say, which is why I'm like having to stop myself so much. This guy just doesn't need to be a general manager in the NBA. He needs to be fired.
You didn't know, one of the top selling jerseys that was making money for your team.
All time.
You didn't know?
The first European-born basketball player to lead the NBA in jersey sales. Now, that's probably because he's a Laker now, to be fair.
Yeah, he is now. He is the number one sold jersey.
He is a generational talent. Your fans loved him. Never once did your fans boo Luka Doncic. Ever. Ever. And you're going to sit there and say you didn't realize how much he meant to them? That answer itself should get you fired.
Exactly.
Because that proves to me you have no idea what your fan base wants. You have no idea what they like. And all you're doing is playing my GM mode and doing whatever you want with the team. And
it looks like a swap trade that, my little brother would have traded me and I would reject.
Exactly. In a game of NBA Live or 2K. This is the dumbest thing. Nobody would have done this. You don't need to be a general manager. And your answers in this, I agree with Chuck. Why are you even doing this in the first place other than to just put a massive target on your back again and prove to everybody you don't know what the heck you're talking about?
Well, we'll wrap up this break. It is Trivia Thursday. We got a easy one for you. And like Burdick said, if you get the win, we'll hold it over until the next giveaway.
We'll hook you up.
We'll let you pick.
Absolutely.
But we'll make this very easy. If you listened to the show last week, it's a giver. It's a easy giveaway for you. Plus, we'll talk about the other Nico and his brother signing with UCLA right here. The Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 by subscribing to the Early Bird Special on YouTube.
Oh, you didn't know? Trivia!
Trivia, baby!
Oh. I'm not finished with you!
I don't think you're going to like how this ends, Hotshot.
Say my name. Your ass better call somebody!
I win! I win!
Time to play the game!
Welcome to the Early Bird Specials Trivia Tuesday with Sparky and Burdick. And we made it real easy for you. The question today, which you can send in your answers to 661-842-2000. Which local barbecue opens today?
Ooh.
The grand opening is today. We had the owner on last week.
Now, this one you can't go back to our YouTube page and find. I have yet to actually cut this one up and put it up there, but we'll probably get it up there today since it is their opening day.
So if you know, we talked a lot about the brisket, and you can smell the barbecue miles away.
God, I gotta go get the
And the grand opening is today.
Pork ribs sound real good too.
Dan stopped by last week and teased us about how much barbecue they're gonna have, and I'm looking forward to my lunch today at this place that is opening today. But yes, text in your answers to 661-842-2000. And going back to Nico, but the other Nico.
This is actually a good story. We're not going to blow up on this one. But Nico Iamaiava has found his home, as we said yesterday. He'll be headed to UCLA to join the Bruins. And apparently so will his younger brother, Madden, will also be frequenting to UCLA as well as part of this. I don't believe, does your story have an actual number of how much Nico will be receiving? I know it had nowhere near the amount that he was supposed to receive or wanted to receive from the University of Tennessee, but I assume it's probably going to be around the $2 million range as he was getting at the University of Tennessee his freshman year. But
no, I haven't seen the actual what either one of them are really getting paid. I know Madden, the younger brother of Nico, is expected to make it official today. The Arkansas freshman quarterback had made his move after declining to enter the portal on Monday. But and I did look up Jace Brown. He's still listed as Arkansas.
So he will be staying with Arkansas most likely, unless he decides to transfer as well. God only knows. We'll find out later today. But this is at least a solid move for Nico and his brother. They find a home. Everybody was worried if Nico was going to be able to find anything, if this bad advice from somebody within the camp was going to ruin his career in college football as a whole. Luckily, it did not. But as we said yesterday, you got to step up now and show that your play can actually match the amount of money that you're wanting to receive. And we will genuinely see that. I think the competition-wise is, I wouldn't say lateral going from the SEC to the Big Ten, but it is pretty dang similar. You'll have to go against teams like Ohio State, USC. Obviously, all those major squads like Penn State are going to be rough too.
So Nico is reportedly earning a deal in the $1.5 million range at UCLA.
I had a feeling. So yeah,
it's significantly
tremendously
less.
lower than what he was getting and what he was hoping to get. Which again, lesson being learned: don't take bad advice from people who don't know what they're talking about. I'm just going to point that out again. It is beneficial for everybody to go into your life with that mindset. Don't take advice from people who really have never been where you want to be. And that includes relationships, bosses, all of that type of stuff. If you are trying to get somewhere and you want to be somewhere, go talk to someone who's actually there.
Who's actually done it?
Yeah, has actually done
Who
it.
was it last week? Cam Newton said it perfectly.
Yep.
And just a day after Nico finalized his move from Tennessee to UCLA, Jake Aguilar is doing the same from UCLA to Tennessee, is what's essentially a quarterback swap.
Now, Jake Aguilar never actually played for UCLA. He was actually a transfer from back in the winter portal from Appalachian State. He was scheduled to at least make a run at the starting job this year, but with obviously the moves for Nico and his brother, he has decided the quarterback room is a little too crowded for him, and he will be moving on to the University of Tennessee, who is looking for a starter as well. So he'll be able to at least compete, and the junior will get a shot over there. He had a solid career with the Appalachian State team, he had 6,760 yards in his couple years there, 56 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. Not much of a runner, but he had about 500 yards on the ground as well in his couple years, 2 years as a starter. So we will see how he fares against SEC teams, but that's a massive, massive jump from playing at Appalachian State. So God only knows if he'll even be able to win the starting job. But it is kind of interesting to see that Tennessee was able to pull somebody out from this entire deal with UCLA.
And we have 2 texts from going back to NBA that says the Lakers pull it out in 6. So I'm guessing that's a Lakers fan.
Again, I would like to say that is the case, but we have to find out what Laker team shows up tonight. It really is going to depend on, like Pimp said, and many others, or Gimp, I'm sorry, said, and many others. It is going to be a really telling thing what team shows up in the first quarter. If they don't hold this team close, or if they're getting bullied again, I would expect you guys to be swiftly moved off of the court, at least in 5 to 6 games. So it's going to be really rough to see. Although I do agree with you, Sparky. LeBron has a tendency to really come back in games like this and just play incredibly.
And the other text says, Sparky, you're wrong.
Oh,
Memphis gets swept easily.
Sparky's wrong this time? I'm so used to everybody saying I'm wrong.
Well, the last couple minutes of the show, I wanted to see if you heard about this story.
Sure.
AJ Brown says his car was
that's
stolen.
right.
And just going off the Pro Bowlers, his Instagram post, he said, I just want you to bring my whip back, bro. I won't press charges. Just bring my whip back and you can go ahead and about your day.
Yeah, really.
You were smooth with it. Pulled up at 3:42. You got up out of there at 3:45. You're fast on your feet. He followed up with saying, I'm going to show you how fast I am on my feet. Real talk. This is about to get done today.
Shoot.
And he changed his photo on Instagram to the Paw Patrol logo.
Something tells me he knows who it is, or at least has an idea of where his car is.
I saw Fox 29 in Philadelphia, citing the sources, reported that the car was found in New Jersey.
Oh, Lord.
And the police had the suspect in custody.
Well, at least they have the suspect in custody. That's obviously a good thing. But look, man, I still stand by this. If you are an athlete or somebody of prominence, like a celebrity, you better have all of your stuff on lockdown, gated, all of that stuff at this point, because there is so much theft going on around athletes specifically, especially with their homes. You have to protect your property. You have to, and you have the money to do that. That's why I don't understand some of these guys not being able to do that well. But this sucks. I mean, I've never had my car stolen. I've had friends' cars get stolen and parts get stolen off of their cars. And
I've had parts stolen.
Demoralizing. But just to steal AJ Brown's car.
And he didn't say which car, because I obviously has multiple cars. But he's lucky that it wasn't his house.
True.
Because like you said, several, especially Pro Bowlers, have been robbed recently.
Well, it usually happens during their games, though. If you notice, these guys really do scope you out for a while. They don't. When someone breaks into your house, it's not something they just decided to do that day. They've been scoping you out for a while. They have to figure out what your schedule is and what time is the best time. So, and unfortunately for athletes, when you're playing a game, that's like a 5, 6, 7 hour increment that you are not going to be anywhere near your property. And that's if you're at home. If you're on an away game, that's multiple days you're going to be out of your house. And some of these guys are single, so they don't have anybody at the house when they're not there. So, but that's why I'm saying protect your property. Know that these people are watching you, and they know where you live now, unfortunately, thanks to Google Maps.
KG is in the building.
Not Lobo this time. We're not getting the luchador. We are not getting the gold wolf, but we will talk WWE Raw from last night, live in Las Vegas, right here on the Early Bird Special, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
KGEO, ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 AM, 101.1 FM. savings. Call the show or text us at area code 661-842-2000. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special, Hour 2, and it's Tuesday, so you know what time it is. Our boy KG's in the building. It's time to talk a little bit of wrestling.
You already know what time it is. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. You hear the alarm. There is so much that happened this WrestleMania weekend, I can barely contain myself, good sir. First of all, shout out to my man Bird. Shout out to my man Sparky in the house. I don't think we've had enough wrestling.
No.
America, have you had enough wrestling?
4 straight days? No.
Oh, no.
I think Vegas has.
Vegas has definitely had enough wrestling.
Vegas can never wrestle enough with its own demons, but we're not going to get into that because what happens out there stays out there, my friend. Hey,
Does it, though?
I heard you had a luchador in the studio Friday. El Dorado Lobo.
Are we going to do this?
Nice guy. I ran into him in the hallway.
Thanks, Chad.
Real nice guy.
Thanks, Chad Gable.
He was hey, when I say like meeting professional wrestlers is really cool. Like it was an experience but nonetheless, folks, we got a lot to get in today.
Yes, we do.
Chris, kick it off.
So we already went through our WrestleMania thoughts technically yesterday, but we haven't gotten to talk to you about it yet. So real quick recap of what you thought of WrestleMania weekend. Was it a high for you? Was it a low for you? Where did it land on your spectrum of excitement?
I feel like I'm in therapy. Well, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
That's Thursday's show.
But no, seriously, a roller coaster of emotions is an understatement to say. Nonetheless, that I know some of the fans, they were on the edge of their seats.
Yeah,
I was one of them from home.
Yeah.
So I think WrestleMania night 1. Actually, if I was to give it a 10-star rating, I would give it a 7.8. It was not bad. There were some things that I were expecting, but you're going to be swerved on as a fan, that I can live with.
Right.
Jey Uso winning the world title.
All
Right
for
call.
that.
Right call. The title changes that did happen throughout the course of the night were the right calls. The end of the night, a lot of people had a problem with John Cena winning, but I was one of them that wasn't.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
I was cool with that. Night 2, also the title changes that happened. The surprise guest spot from Joe Hendry. I think all the way around, without an appearance from The Rock, which is something that we were all counting on, it was a success. Okay, they broke all the records that they always break. They surpassed every gate imaginable financially that they've made previously in all their sellout arena shows from this year. I would have to say that WrestleMania 41 2025 was a 9.2 overall.
Okay,
not a 10, but I give it some. I had some things that I disagreed with, but like anyone, you get a new sandwich, you might not like the pickles on it. Just toss them out.
True.
So I can live with it. But let's slide
that
right
was
on
pretty
in.
much the consensus of Sparky and our friend yesterday that was in studio as well. But I personally thought night 1 was better because night 1 left me wanting more, while night 2 was more of like okay, it's kind of done.
Speaking of wanting more, how'd you feel about Monday Night Raw last night?
So for those of
it's
you
a
who
new
understand,
season.
It is.
Go ahead and break it down to him, Chris.
So the way WWE works is WrestleMania is essentially the Super Bowl. This is where the entire thing ends. But for them, their off season is all of maybe 20 minutes. It really
we would like to say a grace period of 24 hours,
It's
maybe
not.
12, maybe a good night's sleep.
No,
No.
not even close. Paul Levesque, Triple H, the guy who runs the whole show, was given the sheets for the next day, literally 20 minutes after the last match was done. And that was essentially their off season. So this first Raw, which was last night live from Vegas, was essentially their kickoff of the new year. And it did not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. We've already talked about the Pat McAfee situation a little bit.
We're kicking it off with
John Cena
coming out,
wearing the belt backwards.
How do you feel about him blanking out everything and just going with a very simple entrance?
Dark entrance.
Very simple.
The entire story of this John Cena title run is that he is here to quote unquote ruin wrestling.
The last real champion you will ever see.
And everybody's believing that this is going to end at his PLE, which you have mentioned, the Ruthless Aggression PLE, which is yet to be announced. But they believe that there's going to be a new title that's also going to be created that could potentially come in later. But I think it's just going to be the Hardcore Championship.
I'm all for that if they redo and redefine this era with a new world title, because it would also seem symbolic of retiring this championship that we've come to know and every iteration of it. to see it retired properly.
Right.
It would serve as something that would gain more interest and generate sales on their website.
Well, my question is, we kind of knew Orton would start the next feud, as he mentioned it, with Cody a month or two ago. He said, after WrestleMania, I'm going after the belt.
No matter who has it.
No matter.
Which we all knew was going to be John, because I mean the John Cena Randy Orton rivalry has been
now how interesting
legendary.
is it that over the years, every time they've clashed,
It's
Cena's
been the other
a
way,
face,
right? Yeah.
Orton's been a heel.
And
now
it's
Orton's
flipped.
a face. Now Cena's the heel.
Now, does it seem it's already set that Cena holds the belt until the end of the retirement tour?
I think so, or at least towards the end of it, maybe he gets to take it off of him. But I don't see Randy taking it off of him at Backlash. It's a little too early. And going back to your question about him taking off, because now John Cena comes out without the video package that everybody's so used to, and all you see is John Cena with a black background. I think that's on purpose because he wants to ruin the allure of wrestling, and the only way to do that is to take out the spectacle of it. But that's where this is going to clash, in my opinion, is Randy is just going after the belt. This isn't going to be adding to the story very much, which means we're going to get some sort of interference to stop him from getting the
I
belt.
think Randy's 14th or 15th title. No, he's on 14, right?
14, yeah.
Okay, so his 15th title run will come at a certain time. He's got a good couple years left in him. I'd say about 2 or 3. But nonetheless, this sparks for a very interesting backlash in St. Louis coming up.
Right, because that's where he's from, and obviously he's all over the promo posters already for the next PLE. So I kind of saw that coming, though. When the WWE goes to someone's home, usually they're on the card, except for certain situations, but we'll get to in a second, because I do have some audio I want to play for you before I get you out of here. But going forward real quick before we move on to the next part of this, John Cena and Randy Orton, obviously they are trying to reignite a rivalry that is nostalgic for every millennial.
I think we've all kind of grown up with them.
Again, everybody except Sparky.
There's always some type of blasphemous statement from this guy.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna start a YouTube video series where we sit Sparky down and he watches all of the matches that he missed out on that we grew up.
Oh, so we're just gonna be filming him sleep.
Apparently.
Okay. All right.
But,
Just
There's nothing weird about that at all.
Just like his match at WrestleMania.
Okay, but see, I have turned Sparky into a Rhea fan, so
yes.
I feel like I can do this.
He's responsible for you wearing the guy liner and the purple and the leather and
no,
all
it's
that.
actually Stephanie McMahon, because the
that's
episode of
true.
Stephanie's Places with her
Was
is the
very,
one
very
that got
good.
me over. But no, it won't happen with Orton. I just can't stand the guy.
But my question was going to be this: we had a return yesterday of Rusev, longtime rival of John Cena.
Rusev Machka, Rusev Crush.
I didn't understand that whole thing, so you guys have to break me down.
All right.
'cause-
Let me go ahead and introduce this to you real quick. The New Day.
New Day.
The New Day basically has broken the title reign record, and they are 13-time now?
I believe so, something like that.
13 or 14-time tag champions, which is a remarkable feat in itself. I love the new vein heel gimmick that they're coming out
Me
on.
too.
They remind me of crew members from Dipset in the early 2000s, the way they dress right now. But hey, as long as they ain't got Jim Jones coming out with them, I think they're all right now. So they go out to celebrate. They get challenged by American Alpha, or the Alpha Academy, whatever the group Chad Gable left was. Otis and Tozawa, basically. Now, this match impromptu kicks off. Then we have the lights go out. Chris, you want to take it from there?
So basically, we see the return of longtime WWE. I guess call him a heel. Rusev is a very, very favored heel in the game. He has been gone for the last 5 years with AEW and many other organizations, I guess the best way to put it. But he has returned, and that's why I feel like we're going to get maybe another match between him and John Cena as well, because it seems to me like the WWE may want to just go down not just John Cena's how do you
Greatest
put it?
hits.
Greatest hits. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Great way to put it.
In a way, go down his greatest hits of rivals before he gets out of here.
Yeah.
Because we could also, let's not forget, the Rock Cena rivalry we can get one more out of. Roman and Cena we can get one more out of. I am going to guarantee Seth Rollins we're going to get a match out of that at some point, unless
Preach.
they're, unless for some reason the
they
two
team up.
line
Who else?
together. I mean, there's a handful of others, but I think those are the ones that are the main ones you're going to see. It's
Who
going
do
to have
you
to
want
be.
to see?
I've said Rusev for a while now.
Do you think it ends with Cody again?
Yes.
Got to.
It has
It's
to.
got to. It's
but
got
a different Cody. I think this is where, not Cody Lander, but this is where we're going to get the serious, like, I'm here to handle business Cody.
I think this sets up for what we're going to see at SummerSlam, because right now is the perfect time for Cody Rhodes to be written off of television.
True.
He's been carrying the company for a while. He's been making all the media rounds. Give him a brief hiatus. Whether it's by hook or by crook, John Cena will retain at Backlash,
yeah,
which might spark a return for us seeing Cody Rhodes here and there along the way, leading towards SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be as heavy of a Cody introduction to the audience, because these last 4 to 5 days, we've seen the audience turn on him from SmackDown to night one,
Which
it's a
Cena
very
brought up.
to night two.
swift, yeah, it's a very swift change too.
But this happened to him in AEW as well.
Yeah,
it's like Cody can do no right for these finicky fans.
And let's not forget too, John has done multiple media appearances now since WrestleMania. He was on Pat McAfee show yesterday. He did the post-show press conference the day before, and he hasn't given anybody anything. Closest that he gave was the Pat McAfee show yesterday, when he pretty much told him, look, I want to answer all of these questions for you, but until this entire thing is over, I can't do that.
How do you feel about John Cena admitting that the fans pressured him and
into becoming this person, essentially?
Yeah,
I like what
actually I was going to say about him getting hair transplant surgery, but
that
hurt.
That was funny.
that hurt.
That was funny.
That was funny, but that pain came from
man,
a real
LeBron
place.
did it too.
Yeah.
You know,
LeBron did it too.
but did he really?
I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
I'm not saying. Hey, 7 out of 10,
I'm
average
just
is 7
saying
out
the
of 10
man's hairline was receding for years. The internet caught on to it, and now his hairline is magically back. I don't know exactly how you can do that outside of Rogaine.
I'm just tired of seeing ads for hymns in my social media scrolls. All right,
You're never gonna stop seeing.
We're all seeing.
You're never gonna stop seeing him.
Like my everything works. Stop sending me this. Like
we're at the age now, my friend. We're getting there.
On, man.
Okay, just calm down.
All right, let's go to the next.
Moving on to the next big topic, because instead of going down the actual match card, let's just talk about the main highlights of what happened last night. Becky Lynch obviously came back during WrestleMania. They had a
girls got their
rematch.
titles back.
They did, are now
Indeed, 4-time women
Yes,
tag team
Liv and
champions
Raquel.
right there.
which I think at this point they're doing that because they need the women's tag belts to have
A reason, a meaning.
not necessarily a meaning, but you need to build the history a little bit more. We see the men's side.
Legitimize them with some names.
We see the men's side that the New Day 13-time champions. The Dudley Boys are ridiculous amounts of champions.
X amount.
The Usos.
It's just a question.
Well,
mark.
it
The
just didn't make
highest for
sense.
the women were Liv and Raquel at 3 times.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like we talked about yesterday. Is the whole Lyra and Becky was whole setup, because after we saw Becky just beat the living crap out of her after.
I still feel like I know I told you this off air, but I feel like Becky Lynch is going to be a part of this Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman group.
That would
at
be
some
awesome.
point.
It could happen. As they used to say in the old McWorld commercials, it could happen.
I'm just saying, like, obviously Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are married in real life. They've been very outspoken about wanting to do something together in their careers at some point. Why not do it now?
You're looking at a new authority, a new McMahon-Helmsley type of era or regime / legacy carved in with that.
Exactly.
We've got some comments about that later on that we would
Well,
like
I
to
mean,
address.
let's get into that, because that is technically the next big thing that happened yesterday outside of Becky beating up on Lyra after they lost, essentially doing what Trish Stratus did to her a year ago.
Returning the favor. Here's your
essentially-
receipt, kid.
So this is a setup where she sets up the title match with Lyra.
With Lyra,
But what this does, though, it adds some weight and legitimacy to the Intercontinental title in the women's division for it to be handled correctly. Now, that's great to put it on a fledgling superstar like Lyra Valkyria, but when you put it on Becky Lynch, it's not the title making the person, it's the person making the title. This is where the importance, this is where the marketability, the visibility for this new Netflix era kicking off is very important, because we're having a Women's Revolution pay-per-view part 2 come up this year. It's been in the works. It's been cooking. Why do you think WWE's women's division over all 3 brands is so stacked right now?
Which we saw last night with a lot of the NXT girls coming up, which is the next up-and-comers. And do you believe what I said, or what me and Sparky were talking about earlier? I think with this new season kicking off, they have finally moved NXT into the 3rd show. now rather than the developmental league of the WWE?
That is a great question, and I feel like it's a clickbait question, and that's lazy journalism. So step your game up.
Thanks, John. But no, I genuinely believe that. You saw that yesterday with the champion Stephanie Vicaire coming and challenging the women's world champion in Io Sky.
Somewhere Booker
Great
T
match.
was punching the air.
It was a fantastic match.
Doing it out
awesome match.
somewhere.
And I see
man.
I see Io and Stephanie teaming up next.
And just to bring this up full circle again, this is why Stephanie Vicaire is on my Mount Rushmore of NXT women's
Adam.
wrestlers. Adam and Paige, you can come into the state, or you can come into this studio and flip me off and tell me all the reasons why I'm wrong with it. I'm sorry. That's why she is
legit.
She's the game.
I'm gonna keep it real. La Primera is the next big thing across all the brands.
Yeah.
I would actually quote JD from NY 206 into saying you are looking at maybe the next woman to headline a WrestleMania night 1 or night 2.
Julia as well. I think
Definitely.
is another one.
Even if it's a
Well,
fatal
all five of those
four-way.
women, honestly, all 5 of those women in the ring yesterday, Rhea, Io, Julia, Roxanne Perez, and Stephanie Vicaire, all are fantastic athletes and will most likely headline the PLEs for the years to come, to be honest.
Most
But
definitely.
moving on real quick, though, because one of the major things that happened yesterday that we have to get to is we got an answer finally of why this entire turn happened with Paul Heyman, why he turned on CM Punk and on Roman Reigns. Now, Paul went on the Pat McAfee show as well yesterday and explained his side of everything, claiming that CM Punk put him in a bad position, putting him against his tribal chief. And then the reason why he turned on Roman is because Roman treated him so poorly at the end, including the push down on Raw and the, acts of violence against him. But this obviously set up to another question on McAfee, which I should have pulled. I should have pulled this yesterday when I was listening to it. But they asked him who the next Heyman guy is.
And he said, I'm going to go shopping.
He didn't say he was going to go shopping. He said he already knew.
Yeah.
He said he already had it in the works, which we saw last night. And we find out that I'm getting my number one faction of all dang time, the Heyman guys, because
This is a new SmackDown 7. This is a new Dangerous Alliance.
Paul Heyman has chosen Braun Breaker, the son of Rick Steiner, nephew of Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner.
Hey, wait a minute.
And arguably the biggest
mathematician ever in the wrestling industry.
The greatest Steiner mather of all time.
That was
you got 33 and a third percent chance.
Hell of a curveball, man, and I love it. That is my favorite. I was really pumped with Seth after WrestleMania, on top of now throwing Braun Breaker in the mix.
It's going to be interesting. He's one of the hottest talents of all time, or of the young generation coming up, I should say. And we were talking about this on the phone yesterday. There have been factions that have been built like this, where it is essentially the evolution. If anybody remembers back in the early 2000s, you had Triple H, Ric Flair, Batista, and Randy Orton.
Boom.
This kind of feels to me kind of similar. You're going to get Paul Heyman as the Ric Flair. You're going to get Seth Rollins as the Triple H. I think Braun Breaker is more than likely the Batista of the group.
That's your muscle. That's your heavy.
So we are going to be looking out for who the 4th member of this group is here in the next coming weeks.
And my opinion on that very conversation and statement, people may find it unpopular, but it is all reasonable in the sound logic of reality, of stretching kayfabe and wrestling, and it fits right into this pocket. Logan Paul.
I don't see that one.
I hate
Logan.
That's
I see Cross.
I would like Cross. We would like Cross. As
I would
fans that
love
see who
carrying
deserves
Cross.
to be put in a spot, that is a possibility. But in all logistics, who's hated more? Right now, Karrion is getting over.
And what about Finn?
No, too old.
No,
and I don't mean that. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Just because
but he's got his own storyline building with the collapse of Judgment Day and
JD back
and possible resurrection of Bullet Club.
So that's what I was JD hoping. Coming back yesterday, and honestly, that's why I keep Dom out of the conversation too, because I would love to see Dirty Dom in that situation. But the story they have building around him.
His rocket is taking off once again to even higher heights, which I didn't think was even possible with Dominic Mysterio right now. Very, very elated to see him get his comeuppance right there.
And we'll get to Karrion Kross here in a second, because I have some audio I want to play for you too that I think we just saw a glimpse behind the scenes that we weren't supposed to see.
Oh yeah, with his contract information being leaked. It was very
well, not just that, but
real.
Again, we'll get in that in a second.
But does this set up a kind of a tag team thing with CM Punk and Roman?
Probably. I would assume that is where they are headed for at least Backlash.
I would feel the same because the way the segment unfolded, I think it shocked. But then we had to be reminded that Paul Heyman has been courting Braun Breaker, for about 4 years now.
Yeah, since the early Roman Reigns bloodline days.
Yeah, we're talking when Braun Breaker was still spray painting his beard in NXT.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Okay, men.
He was doing the
all right, all the fellas out there that get those enhancements,
don't do it.
Stop.
You don't
Stop.
need it.
It's hot out here. Summertime is coming. We ain't trying to see the side of your fence leaking. Hey man, your mascara's running. No, stop that right now because it wasn't what you see those matches. It's rubbing off. Anyway, let's continue.
It goes back to Danny McBride and the Righteous Gemstones.
Thank you very much. Great show to watch, everybody.
Yes. Oh man, I totally forgot he used to.
But the way the segment unfolded, the intensity, the rapid pace of it, you felt like Raw was going off the air when CM Punk was laid out. Roman appears, gives Paul Heyman a quarter of a receipt, lines up for a spear, just to be chopped in half with an even more intense, viciously violent spear by Braun Breaker, who for some reason looks bigger than he did on WrestleMania.
And then a couple stomps from Seth, and it was over.
It was the alignment of something that I didn't even know I wanted to see.
I know. I personally, I talk ill of people who play my GM mode all the time, but I have loved this pairing for a while. I don't know why they just always fit to me.
But this is exactly what it is.
It really is. Like I honestly, Seth Rollins, I wouldn't be surprised if like the fourth guy was maybe like Tyler Bates or Nathan Frazier, because Nathan Frazier has a background with Seth Rollins too. But I feel like he's going to be pulling in people that are going to quote unquote help him save wrestling. That's why I feel like this is going to be the antithesis to the Rock's group, who is trying to ruin wrestling.
This is a great time to be a wrestling
Cody would
fan.
be a great choice.
Even for casual watchers, this is a great time to be a wrestling fan right now. Even non-fans, I see, are tuning in, commenting, leaving some type of interest or opinion on these feeds, these platforms, these PLEs that are strung about on every advertisement that you could possibly fathom to view entertainment.
It would also be cool to see Gunther, because he's always talking about the respect of wrestling and all this, so he would fit perfect. And it looks like he's falling out of
dude,
with all that with McAfee.
Saw yesterday, I don't know what the heck.
I think Gunther is crashing out, y'all.
Yes,
dude,
it looks like
choked out Michael Cole and Pat McAfee
now,
at the same
even
time.
though we haven't seen any action from Ludwig in a while, we haven't seen anything. I wonder what his storyline growing into these next couple of weeks will be, as well as we still have Friday SmackDown to see how their characters will react to what happened over the WrestleMania weekend. Tiffy Stratton, chipped tooth, or was it just a loose veneer? We won't know.
Damian Priest.
Yeah, Damian Priest.
McIntyre, yeah.
I still stand by that. It looked like a chipped tooth. When I was watching that, I was like, no, she chipped a tooth.
Well, they've got some of the best medical staff. They were in Vegas. I'm pretty sure there's a dentist on hand. Because these things happen quite regularly with WWE wrestlers.
And there's probably some spackle or something that you could make to make a fake tooth.
Just to get you to a dentist within 24 hours.
Exactly.
Shiloh needs to find that guy.
Now don't go out.
Shiloh Hill does that on purpose.
Now don't go out drinking that night before you go see the dentist and your tooth fall off and you drink. But hey, it's not like I haven't seen that happen before.
Funny. The LFG athlete Shiloh Hill, who used to be a linebacker for the Stanford Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
When he was talking about that story, how he lost his tooth and stuff, apparently he got it fixed, and then it happened again in the WWE. So he said, you know what, I'm just keeping it out.
I'm pretty sure he has a pop in.
Oh, he does.
I'm
he
pretty
does.
sure
There are multiple situations where you see him with the tooth and without the tooth. So, but real quick before I let you go, because we are running out of time,
let's go.
We've already mentioned it a little bit. Karrion Kross, who's one of my favorite wrestlers and a great MMA fighter and a lot of other stuff. I think he was one of the main winners at Bloodsport over the weekend.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, that was a great fight too.
Yes, it was. And he had an intervention inside one of these matches, which actually happened to be the Logan Paul match. Don't worry about the bite one, Sparky. I want to hear bite two. So this is the part where I thought was interesting. He went on the WrestleMania recap show right after this. We don't know if this is a shoot or if this is legitimately him being frustrated.
This is a classic case of frustration crashing out in public.
And I honestly believe this is frustration, because all of this began with the storyline that he hated AJ Styles for losing to Logan Paul, who is an outsider and not somebody who deserves to be in the game.
Which legitimizes his wrestling ambitions.
Yes. And he obviously, there's been a long history of him trying to work his way into the industry and all of that type of stuff. And his 11 years of work to get to where he is. And Logan Paul obviously just comes in a year and makes it all look effortless and make it all look stupid. So I want to play this for you and get your thoughts on this, my friend, because there's a second part to this blow up. I believe the beginning of this was meant to be a promo for that build up, as we saw last night again. But I think the second part of this that we're about to play is actually his frustrations with the company. So let's hear from Karrion real quick.
You want to know what the best advice I ever got? It was from Bill Goldberg. 2021, back when I was in the Twilight Zone, you know what I mean? I'm wrestling for gasoline. It was awesome. Let me tell you all about it. Bill goes, hey, Cross, you know what? You remind me a lot of me. I go, I think we have different styles, Bill, but I really appreciate that. Do you have any advice for me? He goes, you know what? You just got to be a good soldier. A good soldier is what he said. So I decided to be a good soldier. You know what happened? They released me. And then I come back. You know what being a good soldier gets you, everybody here? Just so in case you're wondering, you want the back scoop here. Being a good soldier gets your times cut. Being a good soldier means that people come up to you and say, hey, you got any great ideas? Yeah, here it is from Scarlet. No. That's a little too great. We're looking just for good ideas. That's for those guys over there. That's what being a good soldier is, okay? Being a good soldier is coming to your hometown where you cut your teeth when we got started and not being on the card. It's all about viral moments now. That's what it's all about, viral moments. Well, Guy, everybody's been telling me that I got to become undeniable. And as soon as it happens, they ignore it and they shut it down. I never asked to wrestle Randy. I never asked. That happened organically, and you ignored it for a viral moment. And good on Joe. Nothing against him. But you ignored it. And the crowd told you exactly how they felt about me on SmackDown when I was eliminated. And you ignored it. Become undeniable. My ass. My ass. You want a viral moment? On behalf of all of the true fans of professional wrestling, Guy with the suit and tie in the truck, go yourself. That's from Killer Cross. No.
Ooh.
So now this does boil over multiple times in the wrestling world. You see guys go out of their way to go off script. And I think this was off script because if you watch the video, his wife, Scarlett, is very much concerned with the route he's going down.
Don't mess up that check, baby. That's what she's saying with her eyes.
Honestly, well, again, it is what it is, but this is actually proven to go the opposite way. Ever thought this was going to be the end of Karrion Kross's deal with the WWE, and because his deal was done at the beginning of the summer, but now this has got so viral, they want to keep him.
Now, in cases like this, where just like what you said, you would expect it to go one way and it goes the other. This is where you get to see a real gritty energy from somebody personally expressing and connecting with people's frustrations as fans in their everyday lives. Now, what we're going to see from this, very similar to Miz when he went off script with Daniel Bryan in Talking Smack, and that intense promo about him wrestling safe and not being this type of guy, really translated over to how people really start to garner more respect for Miz and the longevity of his career and what he does in putting people over and respect his position. Karrion Kross has been that guy.
Yeah.
He has been that guy.
He's been over for a long time.
He is a workhorse. He is a figurehead in that locker room of just kind of helping people put together matches behind the scenes. Very well liked in the locker room from what reports say. I've interacted with him on social media. He's very engaging and very respectful, very cool. So this, to me, this man really did express some truths about where he felt he needed to be in the company at WrestleMania in his hometown of Las Vegas. Anybody would feel that and sympathize with that. But more so, what I seen from it with AJ Styles and this interaction, could we, and we've already seen this, so he doesn't need a faction, but could we be preparing for a Karrion Kross title run, a mid-card?
I sure hope so.
I think he needs to be a main card title run. I honestly do. I don't think he's too big for the mid card.
Baby steps.
But see, that's the thing.
Well, maybe with the Uso.
Maybe I could see
possibly.
it with Jay.
Yeah, he could feud with that. Would be a good feud with Jay, even if he doesn't. We know he's not going to come out the winner, but it would still be good.
But
and I almost thought Sammy was going to turn on him last night. But
I think we were all kind of nervous about that. I was like, no,
especially when he was standing behind him when he was on the top rope.
I was like, come on, Sammy Uso, don't do this to me right now. It's been too much
with
going
the
on.
whole Cody Rhodes thing,
and then Paul Heyman with the low blow, and then doing the extra with it. I was disgusted.
Kevin Owens is out, so someone's got to be the bad Canadian at some point.
Somebody.
But I don't know. I kind of feel like he needs to go for a main title here, though, because I feel like building him up with wins against AJ Styles, against Logan Paul, maybe against Roman Reigns somewhere down the line,
definitely
could propel him towards at least a shot against, like you said, Jay or whoever has the title at that point, or even John Cena if Cena needs somebody in between, to keep carrying on, because we only have 30 plus more
27 appearances,
including here in Bakersfield.
Those aren't even guaranteed to be matches.
Yes,
yeah, that's what he said. I didn't say matches.
Appearances.
No, I did not say matches. And we did get a text while we're talking wrestling. It said, "Quote me now. Austin Theory is the next guy."
Ooh, you know what?
To be with Heyman's.
I could see that.
Austin Theory in what situation?
Theory. No, he breaks away from A-Town Down Under. Finally, like everybody wants.
It's needed to happen. It's needed to happen.
Or you take both. A-Town Down Under, and they become your tag titles.
Oh man, okay, yeah. That what they put in the coffee today. Everybody. All right, this man's cooking.
It has to be somebody that blends with Braun, one, because that's going to be your two main focuses of this group. And Seth is going to be the mouthpiece, and so is Paul. But you'll need the big guys to make all the
remember
the moves.
In these type of situations, the younger guy or the second always overthrows the lead.
And I'm going to say
it happened in Evolution. It happened in Legacy. It happens in the Horsemen. It happens. You could go down the line. NWO, Bloodline. It happens.
I'm throwing out mine that I told you on the phone last night, Mr. Kimball. That the one that I would like to see be the fourth is Trick Williams.
Ooh.
I would like former NXT champion Trick Williams, who is on his way up to the main roster, be that fourth guy, come in as a main roster spot. And honestly, he would fit the bill very well of that Randy Orton-esque type wrestler with a lot of potential. And you could easily just start off the feud between him and Carmelo Hayes.
The reason I do agree and disagree with you on that is great opinion, great thesis, but all right now, Trick Williams is a face.
No, is he though? He's not though.
He's still getting cheered in NXT.
I understand that, but his character itself is turning a heel.
It's kind of tweener right now. It's in between.
He's very much angry, and
it's one more super kick to Javon Evans, and he's
puts him over.
He's hated. He's hated forever right now.
With Heyman's group is they're supposed to be bad guys,
yes,
but everyone's loving them.
Exactly.
But that's my point. Why not continue that trend? They're all going to be the lovable heels.
I just feel like Logan Paul is the
Logan
guy.
Logan fits in a sense of stardom. I think you're right on that one. But why have Logan, who's a notorious just talker, with two other talkers? It doesn't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we can make sense of almost any wrestler.
It's
that
true,
fits
but
in there.
We are running out of time, though. We got to get to a break and pay some bills. So
pay them bills.
My friend, thank you once again for your time.
You're the man, KG.
Next week.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you so much. To our ESPN Early Bird Special listeners, make sure that you go over to YouTube and find us. Check out the podcast. Check out what we've got going on. And most definitely watch wrestling, because everything counts right now.
It's been so much fun to actually watch too, and honestly, everybody's covering it. ESPN's covering it. Fox Sports is covering
the
it.
new series of Netflix that they pumped up yesterday, man.
Absolutely,
the behind the
scenes stuff you're going to get during the summer. I mean, there's
Paul Heyman's comments on the Pat McAfee show. It was quite a weekend.
I heard he was the lead guy for the comedy roast that we'll never get to watch.
I heard he crushed.
I heard that roast was something that they need to put on Netflix or some type of PLE.
I think you will as soon as they clean up some of the jokes.
With a disclaimer.
Yeah. You'll get some of the jokes cleaned out that the world doesn't need to see their behind the scenes kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you'll get the rest of them.
Oh, yeah.
But we got to take a break real quick and pay some bills. KG, once again, thank you for your time, my friend. As always, we'll talk to you next week. But you are listening to the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield, streaming live as well on YouTube at the Early Bird Special. We'll be right back.
Stay connected. ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m., 101.1 FM. Now, back to Sparky and Burdick.
Welcome back. It's the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. We got some breaking news for you. Damian Lillard will be playing in Game 2 of tonight's series against the Pacers as the Bucks look to even the series at 1 game apiece. As Sparky, as we said, this was going to be the wild card. This is going to be the defining factor if they could actually tie this series up and have a chance. They needed Damian Lillard to come in and have a 20 to 30-point performance.
That's a whole nother series now.
I'm saying. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the series. Hopefully he'll be able to stay on the court and actually put up his normal numbers. That's going to be a big thing too. I'm sure they're still going to be monitoring his blood clots and all of that stuff just to make sure nothing health-wise will be popping up mid-game. But that's going to make this series a lot more interesting, and you'll be able to watch that game tonight at 4 o'clock. That'll be your first game of 3 in tonight's NBA playoff coverage. Are we covering that one? Are we showing that one?
No, we are doing the Memphis OKC game with coverage starting at 4 p.m.
Which could also be an interesting game depending on what Grizzlies team shows up. We already said that, but depends if they're going to be willing to take a pop to the mouth and walk away. So
Let's see, that's a reach.
It's a little bit of a reach. You're right. It's a little bit of a reach, but crazier things have happened in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, if there was one game for the Memphis Grizzlies to come back and win, I'm going to say it's either this one or one of them at home when they're just kind of, trotting along and wanting to win back in OKC, being the Thunder, of course. But moving on to a couple other stories that we got to get to, my friend. The NFL draft is right around the corner.
Thursday.
And as we said, we'll probably do a little bit of a mock draft for you guys on Thursday, so I would look out for that. I don't know if we'll go through the whole first round. I think that's a little bit too much of
We'll do a half of first round.
Yeah, we'll do a half of first round. Maybe up to like 20 picks if I feel a little bit spry. But at this point right now, going through a whole first round mock draft right here on the radio might not be very good radio, to be fair. However, there's been plenty of talking points going around the NFL, including is the New Orleans Saints actually going to draft a quarterback at number 9? Honestly, it wouldn't be the worst idea for them, but I have also said that they are in desperate need of a wide receiver more than their need of a quarterback. However, Adam Schefter has his own thoughts of what the chances are for the Saints picking up a quarterback this year.
Everybody's waiting to see what the Saints do in round 1 at number 9. And again, they still could go quarterback, but I think the prevailing wisdom across the league is that that's not the likely pick at number 9 for New Orleans, that New Orleans will opt to wait to get a quarterback later in this draft, potentially with its second round draft pick. The Saints are scheduled to have the 40th overall pick. They've already begun to make some exploratory phone calls about moving up in the second round. And I think we need to keep in mind, the Browns are at 33, the first pick of the second round. The Giants are at 34. The Saints obviously would like to get as high up in that mix, bypass some of these teams if possible, to get up there to get a quarterback. But it certainly sounds like the Saints are looking to add a quarterback in this draft. It doesn't sound like a quarterback is the likely selection at number 9.
And obviously, the number 1 quarterback that they would have to choose from would be Shedeur Sanders, as Cam Ward is most likely going number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. That's if Shedeur actually falls to them at number 9, though. Obviously, the Raiders have a chance to pick him at number 6, and amongst others. I am not 100% sure exactly what you have read, Sparky, but I have read and continuously been seeing that Shedeur's draft stock has been dropping the last couple weeks. Whether this is true or not, I'm not 100% sure. But let's hear from Stephen A. Smith real quick before we get into our thoughts on whether this could be truthful or if maybe teams are just trying to throw other teams off on their interest in Shedeur.
All of a sudden, now you're hearing that he could be the 4th quarterback taken in the NFL draft. Come on, man. Something. I understand it, but I'm saying that's what they're talking about. And I'm saying something smells. Something. And then I got to take into account, okay, he's a pocket passer. He's accurate. He can get out of the pocket and make requisite throws. Oh, by the way, his pedigree isn't to be questioned. His football acumen isn't to be questioned. We've seen plenty of athletes at the quarterback position. I understand that everybody clamors for that with a Lamar Jackson, with a Josh Allen, with others right now. Jaden Daniel, let's not forget him. I get that part, right? I get it. But the point is, we've seen the Baker Mayfields and others ascend. We've seen guys who make smart decisions, who know how to throw the football. We brought all of this stuff up. And somehow, some way, as the draft approaches, with Deion Sanders, arguably the greatest athlete ever, who is a brilliant football mind. This is his son, who he's worked with all of this time, and suddenly we're seeing the stock drop. I just don't like the way this looks at all. The draft is not here. It could be all smoke and mirrors, but I don't like the way I see things unfolding.
I can honestly think, or at least my personal opinion, Sparky, I think teams are trying to throw off interest within Shedeur. I think a lot of teams have interest in Shedeur, but other teams don't. But they don't want other teams to know that they're onto him, or they want him at whatever pick they have.
It's so funny because that is pretty much what a couple of days before the draft. That's when you start seeing all the curveballs and the mixed signals and. I mean, I really don't. Yesterday, I was seeing that Jackson Dart was rated higher than
I was seeing that too,
I was like,
and so was Tyler I can never remember his actual last name. But yeah, that's
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Milroe obviously being a contender. I saw he could go as far as fourth quarterback off the board, as Stephen A. said. I don't believe that's true at all. There's been way too much hype around this kid throughout this entire draft process. And let's not forget other situations where this has happened. I mean, the Niners a couple years ago, when they traded up to the number 3 spot, were claiming they were going to take Mac Jones. They were all in on Mac Jones, and Atlanta was super ready to take Trey Lance. And what happened? They took Trey instead.
How did that work out?
And how did that work out? Go further than that. The Denver Broncos, the year that Jay Cutler was being drafted, zero mentions of interest in Jay Cutler throughout that entire draft process. None. They never said they wanted Jay. What was the first thing they did? Drafted Jay Cutler.
And I've heard a lot lately from Schefter saying, how the salaries are these years, that it's not as big of a deal when you miss on a quarterback.
No, it's not. And again, as we saw with Brock Purdy, it really just depends on what scheme you get put into and if he really fits, if he works in whatever ideal offense you want to run. So it really is. I don't believe in a lot of this talk that he's going to be dropping, but I still honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Saints don't take him at 9, because I think they have other needs that they want to fill, and they like Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, who, again, Mississippi, Louisiana, very close to each other.
He looks like a quarterback ready.
He really does.
But I also heard Orlovsky talking about that he wouldn't be shocked on teams not drafting quarterbacks.
I could see that. This quarterback class is not can't miss. This quarterback class is not what it was last year. These quarterbacks don't have as many uncoachable traits or skills, while also have a little bit more flaw than some of the classes that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. So I've said this. I don't feel any way about anyone in this class that I do about Jaden Daniels, like I did last year. I don't think Cam Ward is that far off, but Cam's also 6'2", so I can understand that.
Again, I love Dan Orlovsky, but he also had a lot of faith in guys like Mac Jones and other quarterbacks. He has a lot of faith in quarterbacks in general, which you should, being a former quarterback in himself. But
he also said the same thing about Skylar Thompson.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he's high on a lot of quarterbacks is my point. Like
I think it's just
not
high.
A lot. Yeah.
I think it's just high. To tell you the truth, but we'll get into more of the draft because I also saw a curveball when it comes to Genty, which we've talked about a lot in the last couple of weeks, right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Call or text into the Ian Burdick of the Early Bird Special.
Welcome back. It's the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky.
And the answer was Harris Barbecue.
Yes, it
Just
is.
so you know, Harris Barbecue ribbon cutting, the new their standalone barbecue
joint. It's gonna
shop
be fantastic.
opens
I cannot
today.
wait to get down there and get some pork. Ah,
Big shout out to Dan who joined us last week. We are all looking forward to getting our barbecue on today.
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. Get down there and go check out Harris Barbecue. You know you want some barbecue for lunch. Come on now. It's perfect timing for that. The weather's beautiful. You don't have to worry about work being too strenuous on you. Just go get some barbecue. You know you'll love it.
And, bringing up Genty, who was favored, the Raiders for the last couple of weeks. And then I heard yesterday that Jacksonville could be in play, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because they need some defense players.
Yeah.
But
I think defense fits the Jacksonville Jaguars situation better. But honestly, they haven't been happy with the running back play the last couple of years.
and I think they're saving Lawrence with that contract they signed, which you would think you would go offensive line. But this is the time where you're going to see all sorts of crazy stuff coming leading up to the draft. But this was Schefter yesterday talking about he doesn't now think that the Raiders will take him.
Everybody in the world is at Ashton Genty going there. And I'm not so sure about that either. I think that the Raiders are open to moving back. Whenever I hear a team is open to moving back, that tells me that they're not married to anyone at that spot. Now, that means they could stay at 6 and they could pick Ashton Genty, but they don't sound so committed to Ashton Genty currently that they're not prepared to move back. So everybody's got Ashton Genty going 6. I say I'm not so sure about that.
I could agree with him on that. Although I feel like Genty is one of those guys you could move back for and still get. At least if you move back like 3, 4, 5, picks. I wouldn't go as far as maybe trading with the 15 and under crowd. But if the Raiders ended up trading with somebody that was maybe 2 or 3 points or slots back, maybe the Panthers at 8, it would make a lot of sense. You still have a possibility of picking Genty, and you pick up more draft picks, which you desperately need.
I've seen the name Carolina come up too. That's funny you say that. But talking trade in the last couple minutes, I'm going to bounce some trades that Bleacher Report put out yesterday about trades that could still happen in 2025, and starting with the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh Lord,
the
Please tell me
Browns.
it's Kirk. Yay!
The Browns trading a 4th round pick for Kirk Cousins.
I'll take a 4th round pick.
And
I'll
that
take
would be
anything at this point.
A 2026 4th rounder.
I will take anything at this point. Get this boy off of the roster. And I know Atlanta is asking for whomever is going to take him to at least take 20 million of the cap hit off of us. I think that's worth it. I think that's doable.
And Cleveland overpays for quarterbacks.
Absolutely. So why not? Like, I will gladly hand over Kirk Cousins to anybody that wants to take him for any draft picks.
And I see the Colts trading a 2025 5th round pick for Bengals linebacker Jermaine Pratt. That was one of the I believe there's 7 of them. The Las Vegas Raiders trading their 1st round draft pick, number 6, to the Bears for their 1st round pick, which is the 10th, plus a 3rd round and DeAndre Swift.
See, I like that. Like, something along those lines makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe not Swift, but I would think that if the Bears are moving up to 6, that they're going to take Genty, because there's a lot of interest there that the Bears like Genty, the way he plays. And honestly, I think he would fit really well with Caleb Williams back there. So if you made that kind of a trade, if you're a Raider, you're more than likely going to be picking somebody outside of Ashton.
The next one would be the Dolphins trading Tyreek Hill and a 5th round draft pick this year to Dallas for a 2nd round draft pick and a 4th round draft pick.
I'm gonna let you say your piece on that one, my friend. I mean, it's not a bad trade.
I mean, I'd take a 2nd.
A 2nd is pretty good, especially with the bargaining chips that people are usually given for top-notch players these days. Like,
as long as they take over that salary.
That's the thing.
I would be happy.
That's going to be the big thing. It's again like Atlanta. Are you going to take over the salary, or is the team going to have to eat it? And if you have to eat it, then no amount of draft picks is going to save you.
And that would make Miami have 11 draft picks,
which would be nice.
12 actually with the second one.
And a second round draft pick essentially is going to pick you up a solid starter at whatever position.
Yeah, and there's plenty of receivers in this draft.
Exactly.
The New Orleans Saints trading a 4th round to the Tennessee Titans for Will Levis and a 5th round.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, wouldn't surprise me with the moving on of Will Levis that Tennessee will be looking to move on from him as well. The Saints do need a quarterback, and they have been known to pick up guys that just didn't work out with their first teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if this move actually happened. I don't necessarily think it's a beneficial move for them, though.
More of like taking out the.
You'd be better off
garbage.
drafting Dart or Milroe, in my opinion, because they're going to be a better quarterback than Levis was.
And the last one, the Eagles trading Dallas Goedert to the Colts for a 6th round draft pick.
Never going to happen in a million.
Everyone knows the
years.
Colts are looking for a tight end, but you
not
really
for a
get
sixth
Goddard
round
for a 6th
draft
rounder?
pick. That is ridiculous. No, Dallas Goedert, although injury prone at times, has been one of the best tight ends, and he comes through for the Eagles every single time when they need him to. So no. Colts fans, I would not get high on that one, because if you do believe that's going to happen, well, as Sparky said about Orlovsky, you may be high. So, but this has been the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Join us back here tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m. for a Wild Thing Wednesday. We got plenty more to talk about with the NFL draft coming up, NBA playoffs. Once again, check out the Thunder and the Grizzlies tonight at 4 o'clock right here on ESPN Bakersfield. We got to get out of the way for Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.